This video is for chapter 3 on books, and we're going to talk about the flowering of the novel when it becomes actually a mass media. So in the early times of the printing press, after the United States became a state, printing presses were everywhere in the colonies, but what really became mass before books were newspapers, and this had to do with the fact that books were still expensive, even though they were so much less expensive than a couple of hundred years before the printing press, when the printing press began. Books are still in many ways for the elite at this point. They're still too expensive for the average person. And literacy is still not as flourishing as it needs to be for books to really, really become mass. But beginning in the second half of the 1800s, everything comes together. So what happens is that we start to see throughout the 1800s, as we've talked about before, mandatory education, compulsory education. So you get the literacy piece together. And then the other thing is that we get a price drop. There's lots of improved technology out there, offset lithography. We've got all these different linotype machines, all these things that make the printing process more efficient, and that contributes to a price reduction. And then what really seals the deal on the time period during which I think you can say books finally are a mass medium is dime novels in the 1960s. So how much do dime novels cost? If you can guess, they're a dime, sometimes less. And what really seals the deal here is not just that they're inexpensive, but the content is no longer just religious or political or business oriented. So now we have the price drop, we have the increased literacy, and now we finally have content that the average person wants to read about. So these are adventure stories that come from the frontier. And all of this together means that books are now a mass media. So you can put that down. 1860s, that's when I would target this as books becoming a mass media. And there, by the way, is an example of one of the dime novels. Oh, and I guess I should say one more thing about this. Dime novels are really, they're paper covers. They're really the precursors to the paperback. The paperback, though, as an entity, really flourishes in the 1930s. And eventually in the 1960s, we see paperback novels overtaking hard copy novels. And if you think about the books you own, I'd be willing to bet that most of your books are paperbacks. But dime novels are the precursor to that with their paper covers and their, inexpensively produced content. And that's it.